Hello, everybody. Happy New Year 2025. I hope you had a great time over the holiday period and also you had time to recharge your battery. So, we're starting this year with a bang. What we're going to do today is to dive into a major shakeup in sustainable finance. Yeah, money rules the world, right? So, we got to talk about that. I want to talk to you about the decision of some of the largest US banks, like Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, Bank of America, to exit the net zero banking alliance. Yes, you heard it right. Yes. What does it mean for the future of sustainable finance? And also, how should we interpret this move, right, in the broader context of climate crisis? That's why I want to break it down with you, right? Let's go for that, guys. Hello. It's great to see you here. My name is Tony Tio. I'm the founder and CEO of RIA, Renewables in Africa. And what we do is we raise awareness about renewables energy, but also sustainability. So if you are interested to break or to expand into Africa, what we are your eco bridge into this market. And we'll help you with visibility leads, but also deals. Or if you're looking to decarbonize, we're again your eco bridge to sustainable pathway, and we can help you your carbon footprint assessment and also carbon reduction strategy. If that speaks for you, if there's any interest, please reach out to me, DM me, or send me a message, and I promise you we're going to reach out to you and we can discuss about that a little bit more in detail. I know I talked about the bank who are leaving the Net Zero Banking Alliance, is also acronym NZBA. So now the question some of you may be asking, so what the hell does it mean, Tony, bro? So, in short, the NZBA, the Net Zero Banking Alliance, it was actually launched in 2021. As you can see, it wasn't that far ago, right? So that long ago, right? So we talked about barely what, 3-4 years ago, right? And it was backed by the United Nations. And what it is, it's a coalition of banks that are committed to aligning their lending, but also investment portfolio with net zero greenhouse gas emission by 2050. What is the objective? Right, very simple. The objective here is to encourage financial institutions to set but also publish science-based target for reducing finance emissions, focusing on sectors like energy, like transport, like agriculture. And this alliance has been growing right over the last few years. So what we have inside here, it's 130 banks globally. And what they represent is 40% of the global banking assets. As you can see, it's quite significant, right? It's not negligible. And the commitment that these guys have taken, they are intended to drive systemic change in how banks manage risk, allocate capital, but also support the low carbon economy. And we need that. We need that because these guys actually finance the economy. And if we don't have their buying, it makes things a little bit more difficult. Now, as I say in the title, so there has been a major shakeup. So what is that shakeup? Very simple. Yep. So in kind of a little bit of a surprising turn, so Morgan Stanley recently announced that they were actually exiting the alliance. And Morgan Stanley exited the alliance. It's already following up a string of other banks who've been doing it. It's all US banks, right? We have Citigroup that have done it, Bank of America. And actually, let me show you those leaders and also Goldman Sachs, yeah? So here are the guys. So here are the various CEOs here. We have James Fraser for Citigroup, as I said. So we have Brian Moynihan from Morgan Stanley. From Bank of America, sorry. So you have David Solomon from Goldman Sachs and also Ted Pick, that's for Morgan Stanley. And what is interesting for you guys that you certainly will want to know, this guy, they actually represent they represent 10% of the banking assets. So that's actually quite impressive, right? So I just want to share a couple of stats here. Yes. So according to the IEA, which is the International Energy Agency, so what we have here is we need 4 trillion a year if we are standing a chance to achieve the net zero goals, by 2030. That's what we have, 4 trillion a year. And those 4 banks, collectively, they manage over 10 trillion in assets. And that underscores really the influence of the decision that these guys are having. So we're not talking about a small decision here, right? So there's going to be definitely some impact. Yeah. So that's we see. But the question would be maybe ask yourself, so why are they leaving? Are they because of the incoming Trump administration? Partly. There's always been some rising skepticism about climate initiative. So in the US, it's fair to say, especially among the conservative political group, right? So it actually play a significant role. And clearly the incoming Trump administration, which is, let's say, overtly, I wouldn't say against, but clearly not in favor of climate initiative, clearly that has accelerated things, right? So that they're going to be influencing policy again. And those banks, they face, mounting scrutiny over the climate commitment. So clearly we could see a lot of political pressure in here. But we can also mention and talk about the legal but also economic concern. Because it's fair to say that some institutions, they felt a little bit constrained by the very stringent requirement that the NZBA alliances obviously is having. And they were fearing some legal challenges that they've already seen, because some people were suing them, saying, hey, you don't want to fund fossil fuel because you're focusing only on climate initiative. This is actually antitrust, initiative or policies, and we're going to be suing you for that. And clearly, that it's a lot of issue for those banks. And you have some economic risks that are tied to enforcing those strict net zero policies. So after the political pressure, clearly the legal and economic concern are there. And also we can mention as well the operational challenges, because for you to implement those commitments across the vast portfolio, because remember that those guys, they manage trillions of dollars in assets. Yeah. So that's significant. It requires a number of resources, significant resources. And some of these banks, they question whether the NZBA framework was flexible enough to accommodate all these realities that you see in the market. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons that clearly we're not playing in favor here. And why these banks have exited, what is quite interesting actually is that they at the same time have reaffirmed their individual commitment to sustainability goals. Now, how are they going to do it? So one is left to see what will happen. But clearly we could see that here, that's sort of signaling a complex balancing act that they will need to do between the external pressures but also the internal objectives. So that's what we gotta see. So when we see such major player in the banking system exiting the alliance, but still reaffirming their commitment goal, right? So we can rightly ask ourselves, so what is next for sustainable finance? So how is it going to be impacted? Oh, number of ways, right? But what we could call on here, there needs to be a shift towards individual action, right? Because the exit suggests that there is a pivot towards bank pursuing sustainability goal independently rather than through alliances. And why this may offer flexibility for those banks, because they're not going to be constrained by those things. We also raise concern about accountability, but also transparency. So there needs to be a lot of scrutiny to make sure that we're not just, again, falling into greenwashing, so action that have been deployed before, right? And we also want to talk about the role of market forces here. I think for me, at the end of the day, so we need market to respond. When I say market, I talk about demand here. We need increasing consumer, but also investor demand for green investment, because this is what will drive ultimately progress, regardless of participation in for coalition. Because all these guys, they're very transactional. And if you see that there is a demand, there is a market, for green investment, they will align to it. Yeah. So sustainable finance products such as green bonds, ESG funds, they should continue to grow rapidly. So that's one of the best ways to react to that. Yeah. So we want to talk about as well the regional but also international impact, because the withdrawal will certainly weaken the momentum for global initiatives, And at the end of the day as well, it's not a big surprise, I'll say that. We know the incoming Trump administration is not going to be pushing the momentum. That we know, right? If anything else, they're actually going to slow things down like they've done in the past. But we know it already. The question is, how do people get better prepared? That's always the question, right? So how does region like the EU, the UK, Asia may step in to fill the leadership gap, right? By advancing their own ambitious climate finance agenda and also moving into action. That's what I'm saying. Because if the agenda is there, it's not moving to action fast, obviously there's going to be a big drag. Yeah. So the exit highlights here the tension between voluntary commitment and also systemic change. So we can clearly ask whether sustainable finance can achieve its goal without collective accountability that is provided by alliances like NZBA. Because far from me here in saying to people that NZBA, it's not necessary. It's very, very important. And don't get me wrong, those bank exiting is clearly something that could have been anticipated. And it's like I said, it's a drawback, let's put it that way. But one has to carry on, because I always say the road towards sustainability, net zero, whatever you want to call it, is always going to be bumpy. Yeah, there's going to be a period like that. And it's about the rest of the participants. Because at the end of the day, we talk about 130 banks here. Yeah. So are all these guys going to, although they're not as big as those guys living, are they going to decide they're also going to step back? Because I think if they come together, they may obviously find a way to move forward. And that's what I'm hoping they're gonna do. But we've yet to see. But where does all of this leave us? Yeah. So the departure of major US bank from the NZBA, it's a wake-up call for me, right? What it does is underscore the challenges, but also the opportunity that we have. The challenges of balancing political pressures, financial realities, and really for me, the opportunity, the urgent need for climate action. So it's not the end of the road for sure for sustainable finance. In fact, it might mark the beginning of a much more diverse, market-driven approach to climate goal. But we need people to come together and then make those steps, right? And the question here shouldn't be just who stays or leave the alliance. It should be whether the rest of the global community can maintain the momentum in the fight against climate change, right? So we need banks, we need government, we need businesses, we need individuals to all play a role, right? And that's what we're going to say. So I'd like to call on you to see what you think about this topic, because you may have heard about that. So do you think, though, these exits are a step back? Or do you think that they will spark a new wave of innovation into sustainable finance? So I'd like you to let me know your thought in the comments, right? So if you haven't done yet, I think I wanted to subscribe to this channel, yeah? So share your comments about the topic, but also spread the news, share this video with people that you know, and it'd be good to see what you found out. So hopefully you find this discussion insightful. And yeah, as I'll say, don't forget to like, share, subscribe for more on climate and finance. So this is Tony Teo here, and as usual, delighted and a pleasure to see you. Happy New Year again, and we'll see you another time.